Academy of Art University's Urban Nights update is next. Coming up, a victory for Planned Parenthood supporters.
What's needed to keep Americans safe from guns? We'll take a look at that controversy.
We've heard and seen e-scooters. Now we'll show you exactly what you need to do to rent and use one of the streets on San Francisco.
Plus, you'll meet a female e-gamer and hear what she's up against. It's not just about the games. All that and more next on your Urban Nights update.
Hi there, and thanks for joining us
This
here
is
at
a guy
Academy of Art
controls
University's
most of
Urban
the-
Nights Update. Taylor Martin is sitting in with me. I'm Shyla Miller. A big health setback for the Trump administration. The Supreme Court has declined to hear a case brought by Republican-led states that want to kill Medicaid funding for Planned Parenthood and other organizations that provide women's reproductive health services. Planned Parenthood contended in this case the states were singling them out for disfavored treatment because they separately provide constitutionally protected abortion services. It takes 4 justices to agree to accept the case. 3 of them, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, and Neil Gorsuch, were outvoted.
As if there wasn't enough commotion in the White House already. With John Kelly announcing he'll be stepping down at the end of the year, Trump is stumped on finding a new chief of staff. Vice President Mike Pence's chief of staff, Nick Ayers, was the top candidate for the job, but quickly declined. President Trump is now looking for his 3rd chief of staff in 2 years.
It was a sight for sore eyes when a family whose home was destroyed in Camp Fire returned where one of their houses once stood. In addition to seeing the rubble of their home, they saw their loving, protective dog Madison waiting and protecting the land where their once house stood. That wasn't the only surprise waiting for Madison and her family. Volunteers also helped them locate Madison's brother and reunited them with just in time for the holiday season. Last week, people living in the Camp Fire area in Butte County were allowed to return to their property for the first time to assess the damage.
We're finding out new information about the Thousand Oaks bar shooting in November. That's where a gunman killed 12 people and others were injured. It turns out that the Ventura Sheriff Sergeant who died was actually killed by a friendly fire ACHP officer. Although the sergeant was shot 5 times by the gunman, new evidence indicates that the kill shot to his heart came from the CHP officer. The officer's name has not yet been released. Gun control and gun safety continue to be a hot button issue in our country. Noah Dobbin reports on the issue from a gun range in Brentwood, California.
A gun is the one thing people consider a danger to humans. But if used correctly, there can be many benefits to a firearm. I sat down with my very own father, Brian Dobbin, who is a competitive shooter and a pro-gun advocate, to get his opinion on gun safety.
My family did a lot of activities around the outdoors and hunting, and it was really a part of my childhood growing up. I think my childhood allowed me to be familiar enough with guns to remove the fear from them. And then from there, I was able to make my own decisions on whether or not it was something that I was into or made sense for me. It's just never a good idea to really go at it alone at a gun range. Certainly go by yourself, but work with some professional that's there, or work with someone who has been very familiar with firearms, and you also trust them to be safe with that firearm. Those to me are the biggest factors of safety. It's not the gun, and I think that we really need to address the behavioral issues that we have within society that have caused individuals to either feel the need to lash out in such a violent way and or want the attention associated with violence with a firearm.
As with many arguments in politics today, it is important to not speak from emotion, but to speak from facts. Learn your topic and listen to both sides. There are also many reasons why firearms are bad for people to have. They are very dangerous and in the wrong hands can be weapons for the wrong use. I sat down with Denise Cosgrove, who is an advocate for more gun control.
I know it's a right, it's a Second Amendment right, and I don't have a problem with that. What I believe is we need to have some sort of regulations regarding guns, and that's a different conversation. So yeah, I think guns have an appropriate place in American history and in our culture. I think there's so many different ways we can regulate gun control and make sure that it ends up in the hands of the people who are equipped mentally, physically. Well, I think certain types of guns should be restricted, period. Yes, there are certain guns, as far as I'm concerned, that really don't have a place in society.
If you stand on the non-gun side or the pro-gun side, make sure you can understand where both sides come from. Be able to focus on the negative and the positive of both sides, and be able to fix the things that you have issues with. I'm Noah Dobbin from Brentwood, California, on your Urban Nights Update.
Latest studies reveal that 42% of Americans own guns.
With more and more mass shootings in the United States every year, people are making the argument for gun control. Nick Boffman is leading the table as they discuss this sensitive topic.
Thanks. With more and more mass shootings happening in the United States every year, people are pushing the argument, should we have gun control? With me is Amy Smith, Noah Dobbin, and Tara Cooley. So guys, first question flat out, should we have gun control?
See, again, on the topic of gun control, it gets very touchy with everything that goes on. I mean, people want to take away guns. Guns are here, they were put on this earth, they were made to protect. They were not made to injure humans, they were not made to do all that kind of stuff. They're here to protect us as human beings, and they should give us that right.
Right. I think what's happening like in society is we're getting these people that have either mental illnesses or things that have happened to them, or they're getting bullied, or something is driving them to cause these mass shootings.
Yeah.
To me, that's the question of how do we go about limiting those situations versus gun control, just taking everyone's guns away.
Yeah, and I feel like even if they made gun control or laws that's harder to get guns, or if they're illegal in general, people will still find a way, or those people who are shooting will still find a way to get their hands on them, unfortunately.
Okay, so with that being said, obviously it looks like you guys more for guns. How do you guys feel with people being able to own military powered weapons, like, for instance, assault rifles or all these special guns with silencers and things, grenade launchers, things that people wouldn't normally need?
Right. I think when it comes to military assault rifles, I don't think that should be in the hands of just anybody.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of firepower for someone, and if you're not trained properly, it's a lot. I mean,
Again, I can see where you're coming from. I agree with the AR, like AR-15s, all that kind of stuff. But I grew up in a kind of country town where we hunted, we used rifles, we used long distance weapons to hunt from a distance, not a powered weapon where I'm blowing this animal to pieces.
right, when you're
but-
adding like 50 rounds
Yeah,
in a matter
I mean,
of 10 seconds.
I mean,
you
it's
know?
a good sized weapon, but I wouldn't say that we need to take away those type of weapons that are considered hunting weapons. But I do believe, like Amy said, the weapons that are considered mass destruction weapons that we use for war, I don't think should be in the hands of normal
Yeah, definitely.
So what do you guys think would be a good solution to this? Because I mean, like you said, at the end of the day, when people are still gonna get their hands on it. So it's like, for instance, you hear stories of people in the state of power, for instance, like cops or something like that, they can take them and then they'll put them right back on the street, just in the back. Like, you hear of it happening all the time. So I'm not saying that they do that all the time, but you do hear about it happening all the time.
Right.
There's
no easy answer to that, because it's a lot of moving pieces. Like, just because you have a background check, is the background check being done properly? Is it being done extent, or is someone just slipping someone, hey, here's $20,
Time
I want a gun
again,
today?
it's not
and
done
also,
properly,
I mean, there's all those statistics that, I mean, the more gun control that you do put on a state or a person, they're going to want to rebel against that thing. I mean, Chicago, for an instance, has, I believe, the strictest gun laws in the U.S., and they have also the most crime.
Exactly, they're
So
the highest crime in the United States.
Something's gotta happen eventually, because I mean, this year was really bad. Like, even my hometown, there was a school shooting at Highland High School, which is like a school that I've been to many a times, and that just hit home. So I know there was a point where there was as many mass shootings as there was in the day of the year, and it was like deep into this year. So, I mean, something's gotta push eventually.
I agree, something does have to change, and I believe that comes from
Education.
Educating yourself.
And
Yeah.
I grew up with guns, and it's a thing where.
That's all the time we have today. Thank you guys for joining us. Back to you.
A new basketball team might not be the only thing Seattle's getting. The National Hockey League is officially coming to Seattle. This will begin in the 2021-2022 season. The franchise was bought for a hefty $650 million price. Seattle will be joining the Pacific Division to start its quest for the Stanley Cup. Thirsty for a new sports team after the NBA Supersonics left in 2008? Seattle is in for a treat. RU hosted its first big esports event this past weekend, the NorCal Collegiate Open. The two-day event hosted college esports teams from around the Bay as they competed to find out which school would reign supreme in the world of both League of Legends and Overwatch. Out of the 6 teams to compete, one stood atop them all. The San Jose State University was able to smash both days of competition, taking the crown for both.
When we think of a gamer, most people immediately think of a male. In this day and age, we don't see that many female gamers, but trust me, they are definitely out there. I went out to get an inside look of how this female gamer handles the pressure.
I've received a lot of hate and a lot of sexist comments to me.
That is just one of the very few things that women in the gaming industry encounter. Female gamers are really being overlooked in the industry of gaming. For women playing in an industry that is fully dominated by men, many women don't worry about that and they just keep playing because it's what they love. One thing that many women would love to have is a bigger option of female characters in the games they play. Melody Shepard, also known as Lancer, is the only female gamer on San Jose's esports team, and she has many experiences with troubles coming from men in gaming. I asked Lancer on how her experiences have been.
I've received a lot of hate and a lot of sexist comments to me, and I've met a lot of people that have made me feel very, very uncomfortable, and I've been in so many these toxic environments that it took me such a long time to find a friend group that I really felt welcomed in. A lot of guys are pretty insecure when they see that I'm high elo, and I used to feel bad about that, but now I'm just like, they're just randoms, it's whatever. And right now I'm surrounded by people that love and support me.
I also asked Melody on how a young woman can face their fears and get out into the gaming world.
It's good to have people that like you because of you as a person and not because of your gender, not because of your appearance. But I'm trying to say that if you really want something, eventually you'll work for it.
Even though there are many female gamers, they are still considered a minority. However, a study from Magrid Advisors found that 70% of girls aged 12 to 24 play video games. So women, get out there and defy the odds. Here in San Francisco, I'm Shyla Miller with your Urban Nights Update. Melanie has definitely defied all odds by leading her team in a championship weekend. Congratulations to the Spartan esports teams.
The Golden State Warriors are the 4th team in history to be named Sports Illustrated Sports Person of the Year. The 3-time NBA champs were the clear favorite, especially after winning back-to-back championships. The chief editor for Sports Illustrated said the Warriors are a generational team, and if there's been a team in his lifetime where their pieces blended so beautifully together. The Warriors will join the 1980 U.S. hockey team, the 1999 U.S. Women's World Cup soccer squad, and the 2004 Boston Red Sox. Let's join Ash Zong for news on Urban Nights Sports.
Thanks, Taylor. Academy of Arts basketball season is full swing. Men's and women's basketball team both had their game this weekend. However, the results are quite different. Let's take a look at women's basketball first. Urban Nights played Notre Dame de Merit Award Saturday. NDNU opened an 8-0 run at the beginning of the game. RU responded in a time, starting with sophomore guard Lily Perkins get on these boards. It is worth mentioning the sophomore guard Ashley Pollock is one of 5 players from the Academy of Arts volleyball and soccer team to fill out the basketball roster. She tied up the game 23-23 with a shot from downtown. Even so, Urban Nights lost the game at 46-66 in the end. For Urban Nights men's basketball, they beat Notre Dame de Namur with 48-47 on Saturday. The game was very close at the beginning. No team lead by more than 3. With a layup by Julie Williams, It was Urban Knights leading 18-12 at the end of the second quarter. The second half, the game still was close. Junior guard Andrea Blancisi scoring the final 2 shots for Urban Knights, solidifying the 48-47 victory over the NDNU. Also, Blancisi got the career high 16 points this night. For all athletes, schools should provide a perfect studying and living environment. Former basketball player Joy Marchini has already graduated from Academy of Art and talking about his life while he was in school.
My favorite aspect of production is definitely live production because it's the only thing that really reminds me of playing baseball. The preparation that goes into it is just like going to practice every single day. While the show's live, your director is your head honcho, he's your head coach. You do whatever he says, he calls the shots, and as a player, as a person on the team, you have to pick up your slack, you have to do your job. You know, no one's gonna do it for you. Academy of Art was able to show me podcast production, live production, post-production. Producing a live event is definitely exciting. I don't think I've ever done the same thing twice. You definitely have to have a hard work ethic to be in live production. The Multimedia Communications program has a lot of professionals that are teaching you that are in the industry. I'd say they set me up for success because I've had, I think, 3 or 4 teachers offer me internships while I'm in class, so it's not only you're learning from them, but you're actually putting that to a specific project that you can actually work on and put on your resume and show people. I'm Joey Marchini, and I'm a technical producer.
That's all for your Urban Knights sports update this week. I'm Ash Shang, back to you.
Thanks, Ash. For more on what athletes do after their collegiate career is over, let's go to Matthew Hawkins.
Thanks. I'm here with Sterling Hawkins, a 5th year here at Academy of Art University. She was also on the women's golf team. So, my first question is, what was it like saying goodbye to your collegiate career?
So, I've been in golf for my whole entire life, but college was a completely different experience. I got to meet so many new people and so many new people on the team. So it was really sad to have to leave that and see them go. Also, when I first started out, we had a whole bunch of seniors, so having all these freshmen come in, it was really cool to see how much talent we have on our golf team.
So now being done with your career, what is it like having all this extra free time, and what do you do with it?
Well, it's still not free time for me because I'm now actually starting to work on my portfolio way more, and now I have time to do that, and I now get to do photography, I get to do interviews, and I get to do some modeling as well with that, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm really glad for that time in golf, and I'm also glad to have this free time to do all of that as well.
So do you have any advice for any incoming athletes?
Advice, I would say don't stress yourself out because it's supposed to be fun. Life is supposed to be really fun, and especially in golf, it's so easy to get entrapped in this mindset of I have to win, I need to be good, because you have this pressure from your team, you have this pressure from your teammates, and you just really need to remind yourself that you're living today, and today is supposed to be fun. And so going out into tournaments or doing things like that, just understanding that the baseline is you're out there because you want to be.
So what was it like having a sibling on your team as well?
It's always fun. I mean, we've been on a team since I was 5, so there's not too much of a difference there. We were on basketball teams with each other. We were on the men's golf team in high school with each other. It's a lot of fun. She's a very jokester type of person, so I'm glad that she's there to entertain people because I'm more of an observer type, and so that's the fun part about it, I think.
So you're also in communications as well. What do you plan on doing with your degree after college?
What I'm planning is, it's a little different than multimedia, I think, but multimedia has helped me out so much because I'm thinking about either doing interviews or some form of photography because it's just fun meeting new people. And I think multimedia actually really helped me on speaking up and figuring out who I was.
Thanks so much for joining us, Sterling. Back to you.
Thanks, Matt and Sterling. Christmas is just around the corner. This year, Bay Area radio station KOIT follows the lead of several other radio stations in the United States and Canada, trying to ban the Christmas song, Baby It's Cold Outside. Critics of the song claim the lyrics promote date rape. The station launched a poll on its website to leave the ultimate decision up to the people. However, a CBC radio spokeswoman in Canada said the broadcaster planned to remove the song with no plans to play it going forward. Are you still looking for some love on the same dating apps but keep getting fooled by creeps? Reporter Nicholas Boffman interviewed the new wave of young people who insist on ditching those apps and getting out more. It may surprise you.
I am really shocked that I haven't been raped or sold to anyone or been murdered, because it's not a good app.
It's wintertime. With the holiday season here, that means it's time to get warm inside with your significant other. For those who want someone to snuggle up with but don't have one, well, there's Tinder. Tinder is one of many dating apps that was created so people can, among other things, potentially find their lover. For Aviana Johnson, her experience was the complete opposite.
I met this guy, and he was so beautiful. Like, he was like a chiseled Roman god. He had it going on. After a week of just messaging him on the app, I was like, okay, cool, I can go out and meet this guy. I was stupid. I invited him over to my apartment. 8 o'clock rolls around, and I get a text like, I'm downstairs. I go outside, and I meet this scrawny, balding, glasses, acne-prone little guy. Come to find out, he's using his brother's photo. If you want my personal thing, don't do it. Try and go to the bars. I don't know, clubs, anything. Just not Tinder.
You usually hear stories about men harassing women on Tinder. In fact, when you scroll down the internet, all you see is countless stories of men bothering women. Well, to people's surprise, it happens to men a lot more than you think. Devon Hodge told me his story, and he urges men to be careful also.
I got a relationship off of Tinder, and I thought, it would work out, but unfortunately, that went south. I ended up being, stalked, I was threatened, harassed a lot. Couldn't, have the, time to myself, a day to myself and my friends and whatnot. And Tinder is okay, but for the most part, sometimes it's not what it seems to be.
Apps like Tinder are logged onto thousands of times every day. Not everyone has good intentions. Bad things can happen to females and males. Officials say to never meet up with the person in a private place on the first few dates. Extra safety precautions could save your life. In San Francisco, I'm Nicholas Boffman for your Urban Nights Update.
According to PEW.org, on dating apps, men are more likely to encounter name-calling and physical threats, while women are more likely to encounter harassment and sexual threats.
After those compelling stories that leave us with this week's question of the week, Amy Smith hit the hallways to find out if people think dating apps are safe.
I think it depends on the dating app and the person you're talking to on the dating app, for sure.
Dating apps are as safe as you make them.
Some are.
Probably is safe.
I think for the most part they are, as long as you tell your friends who you're meeting and where you're meeting them, just so they can expect you to be home at a certain time.
I don't believe that dating apps are safe.
Yes and no. Yes, because you have the choice to easily shut down an uncomfortable conversation, which is usually the preliminary. And no, if you go out, depending on your intentions, and you didn't do a thorough enough, background check.
The holidays call for family gatherings, and there's no better way to pass some time with a good movie. We now go to Elijah Smith for the latest in entertainment.
Thanks, Taylor. Welcome to this week's latest in entertainment. A lot of movies to get excited for with some big names. The first movie is the new Spider-Man movie, Spider-Verse, based on the original comic by Marvel. Leading man is the reliable Nicolas Cage. the story of many different Spider-Mans and women take a shot to connect with people of all ages and types. Nick Cage talks about his character and what he represents.
Spider-Man Noir is from a dimension that is black and white. I mean, literally like a black and white movie. Spider-Man Noir is hard-boiled. He's probably the edgiest of the Spider-Men. Think Raymond Chandler, think Paul Kane, those great old detective novels. He's a private eye, and he's fighting Nazis, so he's a real hero. His dimension is 1933.
The new Spider-Man movie will be released on Christmas Day for the whole family to watch. If you're a Transformers fan, then you'll love the new movie being released that is a part of the series. The movie is all about Bumblebee, who is arguably the main character in all of the most recent movies. Bumblebee takes on the form of a new car that should shock everyone. Movie director Travis Knight gives us a bit of insight on the action-packed family movie.
That kind of experience of bringing all those things into play, the imagination, the wonder, the heart, and the laughter, that was something that I wanted to bring to this film. It's set in the 80s, and so it felt like it was the perfect way to tip the hat to those classic Amblin-esque films, those great Steven Spielberg coming-of-age fantasies of the 80s, and to bring that aspect of filmmaking into this franchise, which has had a different aesthetic for years, to still honor that, but to bring something new to it, and that was what we tried to do with this film.
And that's going to be it for this week of entertainment. Back to you.
Thanks, Elijah. Are you wondering what the electric scooters are all about? We sent out some of the Urban Nights Update staff to find out all about the details on this popular new way to get around the city.
Whee! Oh my god, I'm scared! That is our show producer, Monique Netherton's initial reaction to riding an electric scooter. E-scooters are taking San Francisco by storm. But how do they work? And are they safe? Before jumping on one and going for a ride, you have to download the app. Make sure you read the safety tips. Now it's time to locate a scooter using their map. Once you find one, use a scanner to read the barcode. You will know when it's unlocked because the lights will turn red. Kick up that kickstand, and you're ready to go for a ride. Remember, these scooters are meant to be ridden on the streets. You need to use the bike lanes, but don't forget to watch out for buses.
Oh my god, I'm sorry, bus.
San Francisco resident Albert Stevens tells us why he doesn't like scooters riding on the sidewalks.
Because they got motors on them, and they can hurt pedestrians, and then all of a sudden the scooter comes by you, boom, and it's scary.
The residents see the e-scooters as a way to commute around the city. It is only $1 to get started and 15 cents every minute after that. Plus, you're getting some fresh air. Hunter Stone tells us why he jumps on one every day.
It's super convenient, and it was pretty quick too.
Hunter wasn't the only one who thought the scooter was a little fast. We caught up with one of our own, Nicholas Boffman.
She kind of goes a little fast, so you might want to slow it down because some people can't ride.
Are you wondering how Monique is doing? I finally caught back up to her to find out her review of today's adventure.
I'm terrified. This thing has like a good kick, and it jolts, and I feel like I'm gonna fly off the front end of the scooter. But once you get going, it's actually kind of nice. So.
At first, getting on one of these may be scary, but if you follow the safety rules, you just might find yourself on an e-scooter heading to your next meeting. In San Francisco, I'm Amy Smith with your Urban Nights Update.
I've ridden the scooters and I can say that they are a blast. But before we go, a story for the holiday season. A favorite pastime is for families to look at holiday decorations. Elijah Smith returns to take us down a well-known street in the East Bay.
The holidays are the most wonderful times during the year, and there is no better way to show Christmas spirit than decorating your house with lights. In Alameda on Thompson Avenue, or better known as Christmas Tree Lane, the spirit is alive and well. Every year residents decorate their homes, and thousands come from all over the Bay Area to see. I spoke with resident Kyle McGraw about the tradition.
We do this every year here at Christmas Tree Lane in Alameda, California. It's really just all about the kids. Yeah, this projector right here has definitely saved me a ton of money on the electricity bill. Some of these houses they go all out with lights.
All right, we're here at Christmas Tree Lane, where it's very beautiful. We're helping celebrate the Christmas tradition, and here it's all about the kids. Even Santa Claus made an appearance at Christmas Tree Lane, and I spoke with Charmaine Moore, a visitor, about the Christmas joy being spread.
So I really enjoy being able to come down here and experience all the Christmas lights. I'm a huge Christmas fan, so it's definitely nice to be able to come down here and like really get the Christmas spirit and see how many people really care to bring joy to everybody. My family's huge on Christmas, so this is really a treat for us to be able to come down and like hang out together and look at how much effort everyone put into their Christmas lights.
The Christmas tradition in Alameda lights up the Bay Area with joy and warm Christmas spirit. The streets are packed with people from all over, coming to see the beautiful lights decorating the whole block. The residents of Christmas Tree Lane really put on the show for their guests while partaking in a collective effort opposed to a competition like we see often in various neighborhoods. In Alameda, where the Christmas spirit is alive and well, I'm Elijah Smith, and this has been your Urban Nights Update.
I love Christmas, so I definitely have to go check that out. But that just about brings up this edition of Urban Nights Update to a close. For everyone here, thanks for joining us. I'm Shyla Miller.
And I'm Taylor Martin. See you next time, and have a great holiday season.